Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. A few hours after the announcement of a ceasefire, which I welcome here, and which, in as far as the information is accurate, is currently being respected on the ground. And we are indeed waiting in the coming days and weeks for it to be fully respected throughout the region. Now, that's French President Emmanuel Macron, who told reporters after the news of the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran was announced. At the same time, 2 French hostages have returned to Paris after being released by Iran, a rare diplomatic success amid rising tensions. Benjamin Sibille, founder of Collectif pour un Service Civique Européen, joins us now to discuss the latest. Thanks so much for being with us. Good to have you on TVP World. Hello. Benjamin, so from President Macron, he seems to welcome this ceasefire. He says that it's very good news, but still remains fragile. So what is France's position on this? How will France be engaged to keep the ceasefire going?
So first, I think this is a widespread feeling. Everyone is very much relieved after the very strong statements from President Trump in the last week. Everyone feared an aggravation of the conflict. So it's a much welcomed relief, and I think that's the position of France as well. Of course, there was a very intense diplomatic effort on the part of France, and its position is well known. Multilateral framework should be respected, so it's not possible to actually have free aggression without the spectrum of the Security Council of the United Nations. That's a long supported position on the part of France. And the other one is, of course, freedom of commerce and of trade. It's not possible. It's against any international law to actually block trade. And of course, it is creating a lot of damage on European economies that are not directly involved in the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the freedom of commerce. I mean, this is one of those main things. We're still awaiting the exact details. Strait of Hormuz, that's critical for oil and also for trade. Now, President Macron has said that he is in some kind of position to lead maybe up to 15 nations to secure that and make it commercially viable again and safe. How do you see that realistically go down? How quickly could this go? I mean, France was already deploying its aircraft carrier in the East Mediterranean some weeks ago. Tell us a bit more your perspective.
What is sure is that France is the most present in the region of all European powers. We do have military bases in the Emirates, in Qatar as well, with very strong military ties and even guarantees we provide to both of those states, but also some connection with countries like Saudi Arabia, Oman, Kuwait, and Bahrain. We are also the main naval power of today Europe with this aircraft carrier task force. We could imagine that if the ceasefire is to be solid, there will be a need of some kind of a neutral guarantor to securize that this area is not weaponized, we could say it that way, again, by the Iranians to put a threat on the world's trade. And at the same time, it could be imagined also that there is a need for some of the naval forces of America to take a little bit of step back from the region in order to allow things to get back to normal in the next weeks.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, France having considerable resources themselves. I mean, there's a paper floating around, I think Politico broke the story. France planning to increase its drone stockpiles and missiles by 400% by 2030. That's 280 billion allocated to defense under so-called war economy framework. So tell us a bit more about this. Now, was this always in let's say, in the pipeline? Was this due to threats from Russia, what we've seen in Iran? Tell us a bit more about all this new announcement.
I was honored enough 1 week ago to intervene on your channel talking about the recent trip of Emmanuel Macron towards Japan, but also South Korea, one of the main provider of modern weapons in the world, and we could imagine that this type of cooperation on the military trade aspect, but even maybe sharing of technology, could lead to new developments in the field of drones, in the field also of anti-aircraft carrier, where South Korea traditionally is very strong, and what is for sure is that France was lagging a bit behind. We have a very advanced weapon factory and industry, but we're not so much up to date with the development of drones. And apparently this is something that has to change very quickly. There have already been a lot of projects that have been started by French industry and notably Thales, but we could expect a lot more. Now the question is it possible to have actually a joint European effort on this? Poland, for instance, is one of the biggest expanding army, and especially land army, in the recent years, but still a lot of contracts were done one by one, some with Americans, some with South Korea, some through European cooperation. Germany is a bit in the same situation. Now comes the question, can Europeans actually come together on this and manage to be not only cost efficient, but efficient, to actually put some weapons and boots on the ground to ensure a better European presence on the diplomatic sphere around the world?
Now, talk about European military cooperation. Let's talk about NATO for a moment as well. We've had, once again, some serious negative comments from Donald Trump about the alliance, paper tiger, saying that they didn't give him Greenland. We know that Secretary General Mark Rutte is probably going to meet President Trump on Wednesday. Let's address that for a quick moment. The reaction of France, hearing this kind of wording, will that, let's say, change France's position somehow? And how do you think that meeting is going to go between Mr. Rutte and Mr. Trump?
I mean, France has always been committed to NATO. It was one of the founding members, even when we are not anymore in the integrated military headquarters, so up to the presidency of Mr. Sarkozy, where we have taken a step back since General de Gaulle. We're still member of the alliance, so we believe in this cooperation. But it's also not a secret that France has been one of the main critics inside of the alliance of how it works, how it is too much dependent on Americans, and how we need also to have some kind of strategic autonomy that France developed for itself, that would like also to share with its strongest and tightest European allies, that is to say, the European Union. So now with everything going and the presidency of Donald Trump, probably this American involvement within the NATO and the leadership they had since the beginning in it can be seen more and more fragile, and so maybe this point of view of France is starting to get some points in the heads of European leaders, but this is to be determined, of course.
Right. Also, a quick one right before, just two more questions. France repatriating $13 billion in gold from U.S. reserves. Does that signal anything to us?
I mean, I happen to have been actually an official within the Central Bank of France, and when I arrived in the Central Bank of France, our faced creation from German gold at the time. It was during the crisis of sovereign debt. So, of course, it is always a signal. We have in mind it's a bit an opportunistic move also, because there was some value to be taken out of the change of gold on the American market and the European market, but it's also a matter of sovereignty. We used to have like most of our gold in the Federal Bank of New York, and now more and more we have brought this gold back, those sovereign guarantees within board, but at least the European continent.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then a final point, with these two French nationals that have been released by Iran, now landed in Paris after they were held in Iran for quite some time. Just briefly, give us your take, what that tells us about French diplomacy and all this.
It tells us that French diplomacy, however discreet it can be, maybe more discreet than different stance from the United States of America, is still very much efficient and has some degree of influence in a lot of regions of the world. But maybe the main point is to have in mind, are we not starting to see the beginning of a more multilateral world where the old alliances, what some has presented as blocs, we know that Mr. Trump, for instance, tends to present this world in 3 blocks. We have like the Russian sphere of influence, the Chinese sphere of influence, and then the American sphere of influence. Maybe this is not actually the world we are getting into. Maybe it will be more a world of balance in different multilateral and interested. And in that, Europe, of course, has a voice to speak, and this voice can be independent also of the stance of Americans.
All right, so thanks so much for giving us the latest there. Pleasure speaking to you as always. Benjamin Sibille, founder of Collectif pour un Service Civique. And thank you for joining us here on World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.